First off, I hope you're doing okay, that you're staying safe, staying sane, whatever that may look like for you. And I know there's a lot of people out there telling you to just go easy on yourself, to not fall into that productivity trap. Though I wonder if that's exactly helpful in the same way telling depressed people to just not be sad isn't really productive. But conversely, I hear these ideas of having all this unfettered free time, and certainly some of you are taking advantage, launching that podcast you've been thinking about forever. My Instagram is just wall-to-wall live programming, and I do love a bit of that creative hustle that's manifesting itself out there in the world. But honestly, for me, this idea of having all this free time to do reading hasn't exactly held true, and it's taken a while for me to adjust to this new reality, and it's only recently that I've actually been able to sit down with a book and enjoy it for any length of time. Things are hard for people right now, and I get that. Things are changing day by day, and every day is starting to feel like a week, if not a month. And I understand this is coming from a place of incredible privilege. I am so lucky. I'm still employed. I'm a white-collar worker in a small organization that's committed to keeping people on and committed to their staff's well-being. I mean, we are not working from home. We are at home during a crisis trying to work, and the company understands that. The CEO meets with every single department at least once a week. HR is having one-on-one calls with staff at least once every other week. We've even set up a Discord server so people can pop into the virtual server and chat by the water cooler as if they were still at the office. So, really, really lucky, but I still worry about my folks. I still miss my friends. I still miss going to the movie theaters and backyard barbecues and home poker games, and I hate how much I bristle when someone stands too close to me at the grocery store. My hair is just an absolute mess. But regardless, still really, really lucky. But seriously, how are you doing? I'm doing a tag, which seems like such a booktube response to this entire pandemic. But seriously, what does your reality look like now? What are your coping mechanisms? What brings you joy? 5 simple questions. So let's get to it. Question 1, where are you and what do your immediate surroundings look like? Well, I'm here in Ontario, Canada, and I'm set up, despite appearances, in the library where I usually am, except this has also become my work from home office, which means I spend entirely way too much time in this room as it is. My wife, I'm grateful, is also working from home. She's set up in our daughter's old bedroom upstairs, and her daughter, who we pulled out from residence in what feels like a decade ago, is set up in the basement. And what's even better is all of us are set up in office chairs that I've acquired over the years. You get to a certain age and you realize how important good seating actually is. But really, I am grateful as to where all of us are in our lives right now. I mean, I'm not wrestling with bored school-age children or teenagers whose prom and summer plans have been completely obliterated. Can you imagine telling teenage you that beaches are canceled, house parties are done, and you're not going to see your friends all summer long? I mean, can you tell me that your hormonal teenage son or daughter isn't sneaking out in the middle of the day to see their boyfriend, girlfriend? I mean, it's just so difficult. And imagine if you had really young kids at that sort of questioning age and you're just trying to keep your shit together and not freak them out and give them nightmares. How hard is that? And man, let's not even get into the space of abusive relationships where work might have been a respite from verbal, physical, or emotional abuse that happened at home and a chance to fill up those stores of self-respect, and having that taken away from you. I was recently talking with the Sexual Assault Support Center here in town with some work I do as a volunteer. And they're just completely flooded with calls in the aftermath of the Me Too movement, but now are looking at a $100,000 shortfall because their large charitable galas that they bring in money for have been completely canceled in light of the quarantine. And how all these charitable groups are suffering but are needed more than ever now. Or maybe it's the other end of the spectrum, and now that you're working from home, you realize with absolute and abject horror that your spouse is the one that says, okay, Janet, there's no need to boil the ocean here. We need to just think outside the box, take it to the next level. Let's put a pin in this and circle back until later. So business spouse, of course, can differ greatly from sitting on the couch in your sweatpants eating chips spouse. But still, I feel lucky. It's like my daughter's been training for this her entire life. She's Twitch streaming, connecting with her friends on Discord, and playing Animal Crossing. And for us, yes, we miss our families. We miss our extended family and friends. I'm not so much stress eating as anxiety snacking, but not too bad. I'm in my head a lot more lately. What is the most unusual or abnormal thing that you've done because of this? I mean, what was unthinkable 8 weeks ago is just part of the new normal now. I mean, we're only in April of 2020, for crying out loud. I mean, how are those New Year's resolutions of yours going? your promises to go to the gym more often, to say yes to going out, inviting friends over more. I mean, all out the window. Anyway, the crazy thing is we moved offices back in July of last year. And at that point, we were looking at replacing our landline with a VoIP solution. So we asked the local tech community what they suggested, and they came back with this company we'd never heard of before, Zoom. Anyway, they were willing to sharpen their pencil, make a deal work for us, and so we've been using them ever since. And now they're everywhere. They're ubiquitous. Their PR is doing an incredible job, to say nothing about the fact that it is in fact a security nightmare, that it was actually sending information to Facebook, even if you didn't have a Facebook account. The Mac version actually set up a web server on your machine that remained even after you removed the app, making it possible to hack your camera. But still, that aside, it is all this talk about Generation Z for Zoom, or Zumping, which is a horrible name, this idea of dumping your significant other over Zoom. I mean, there's Zoom parties, Zoom nights. It's Zoom everywhere, as if Zoom just invented video group chat and it hadn't existed for the last few years as it is. But at the office, we've really leaned into our Zoom, along with the Discord and Slack. We have weekly Zoom office yoga on Thursdays, Zoom board game lunches on Wednesdays, Zoom virtual coffees Friday morning. We've even had an after-hours Zoom cheers for St. Paddy's Day. So Zoom has done a lot to keep our crew connected, keep morale up, and just to see each other's faces, which is nice. But to be honest, when this is all over, I will be happy if I never have to set foot in another Zoom meeting again. But for now, not a day goes by where I'm not actually in Zoom. Next question, what is your coping mechanism? For me, it's walks. Lots of walks. When my wife and I first started working from home, we were just bending over backwards to be super productive, to prove that we were able to deliver when we were at home. But that is a path to early burnout. So now we've made a concerted effort to get out during the day and take a walk around the neighborhood. We live in a quiet suburban neighborhood, so it's really easy to remain socially distanced. And what's interesting is, as we're doing this walk around the neighborhood, we're finding a lot of people just sitting in their car in the driveway quietly. And man, do I get it. We have a lot of coworkers that have little kids, and juggling their needs while trying to be productive and deliver at work, kind of near impossible. And sometimes the only quiet, peaceful place is sitting in the family Corolla in the driveway. Anyway, we do get out there. When the weather's nice, there's definitely a lot of people, so it means a lot of zigzagging across the road to avoid them. But yeah, walks, would totally recommend. Name something that has given you pleasure. So my wife has watched all of Tiger King. Our daughter's playing Animal Crossing, so I think we've got the collective pleasures down. But for me, is playing the neighborhood home game of poker online on PokerStars. So I set up in the garage, I light a cigar, pour myself a bourbon, log on to Zoom, and we'll play a low stakes, single table, freeze out, Texas Hold'em, no limit game. And not everyone who's playing the game is on the Zoom. Not everyone who's on the Zoom is playing the game, but it allows us to chat. It's a poor substitute for the real thing, but still, we can check in on each other, make sure we're all doing okay, and just shoot the shit, as it were. It is a lot of fun. As a bonus, I will have a link down below to a video that's probably making the rounds. You may have seen it already, of someone going back to their new future self in January, just to warn them about the impending disaster that's coming their way. It's actually a lot funnier than it sounds, so check that out. What is something that you feel will never be the same after this? We're seeing pollution at all-time lows. We're seeing incredible shots of Los Angeles and Venice and China with the pollution at these levels. We are re-examining our notion of what constitutes an essential worker. We're railing against celebrity cultures, multimillionaires, admonishing us to stay at home while they traipse around their multi-million-dollar palatial estates and singing off-key about how the pandemic is the great equalizer, about large corporations and seeing what they truly value, and it's not the little guy. And yet, I think when this is all over, it's going to be a mad rush to normalcy, to returning to the way things are. People are going to be packing Disney World. They're going to go on cruises. They're going to travel. They're going to want that next big toy. Essential workers aren't going to get more wages. Corporations aren't going to be held accountable. I mean, I might wash my hands more. Maybe handshaking will become a thing of the past. I hope people realize that the internet is an essential service and there's programs in place to ensure low-income families can secure it. Ghost kitchens and curbside pickup for restaurants, I think, will become more common. Online grocery shopping will be a thing. I hope remote work becomes a lot more common and accepted. And I guess I'll be keeping an eye on my toilet paper supply a lot more closely, along with flour and antibacterial wipes. But also, I hope there is a return to journalism, to fact-based reporting that isn't tied to clickbaity headlines and partisan spin. One can hope. I guess it all depends on how long the lockdown lasts and how long this quarantine goes on for. So who knows? All right, so that is the quarantine, not booktube, book-related tag. Just tell me how you're doing. Tell me what's going on in your life right now. I'm not going to tag anyone specifically. I just want you all to do it. BookTube is a large and diverse community. I want to know what the situation is like where you are specifically, how you're coping, how you're finding joy, how your day-to-day is looking like in this time of crisis. Yeah, if you do this, please do tag me so I can check this out. And it's just a check-in. That's all. I hope you're all doing okay and doing what you need to do to stay sane and stay safe. So that's it for me this week, and we'll talk to you again soon, I hope. Bye.